嗯，什么东西掉了？哦，我的 tablet。
其实我在想一件事，就是有没有办法不拿着钥匙，然后直接过去？
搞不好啊，可是我不知道。What the fuck? Marlo dropped new video. The full context. 来看一下。
Hey everyone, I just wanted to start at this video by saying that there's a lot of things that I need to address, and in this video, I plan to discuss a lot of what's been going around on social media lately. Some of the allegations that have been circulating relate to who I am as a person, which is unfortunately why I've been forced to face reveal for this video. The best way to summarize the current situation is that there are 3 main allegations being made against me right now, which are cheating, committing theft, and being another person. The situation mostly started off with the first 2 allegations, but over time, it seemingly blew up and everything meshed together. Something I should probably clarify is that I had already been working on this video before the more recent allegations, so I'm actually recording this intro after having already made most of everything you're gonna see afterwards. The main reason I'm adding this intro in is to address the more recent Danger Mario allegations that Ximity made, since the great majority of everything I had already included in this video is related to debunking the other allegations. With that being said, I need to come forward about the fact that the situation I'm in today has largely been negatively impacted by my own actions, since there's some things that I haven't been upfront about with other people that have led to a lot of the allegations around me being more believable. Even though there's a lot of people making videos spreading misinformation or deliberately trying to get me cancelled, my own mistakes have definitely played a part in landing me in the position I'm in today, so I'd like to apologize for that. First of all, it's true that I've been using an AI voice for the last few years. This is something I've lied about so extensively that I can't really blame people for a lot of the doubts they might have had regarding the type of person I am.
I'm going to be talking in my normal voice for the rest of the introduction, but most importantly, I wanted to explain why I was using an AI voice and why I lied about doing so. So first of all, following the whole controversy regarding me being a man, I was actually planning on admitting to using an AI voice prior to posting this video. For those of you who don't know, ever since later on into the cheating allegations...
我在中间啊。
What the hell？
怎么了？哈？
我现在没事，我以为你丢动物，没事。
哈？
没事。
OK。哦，我在看影片，所以我们要去探第5关吗？
I've been under investigation from the administrators regarding all the videos being made against me. This amped up even further since the allegations had become severe enough to where I was becoming too much of a risk to everyone else.
Oh wow,
the other admins had been talking about meeting up in order to debunk the allegations, so we had a discussion about it in our groups. The problem is that within these discussions, the other staff members started to backtrack on the idea of meeting up in person, and they insisted on a video call. Previously, however, I had already been told that a video call was insufficient, since apparently there are advanced forms of AI that make it unreliable. Because of this, I knew that if I were to do a video call and admit to using my real voice, I would convince them that that's what I was already doing, since I had already been lying about using an AI voice. Using the AI voice for the video call wasn't an option either, since using it live is a delay of around 300 ms, which would be very obviously disorganized. My only option was to keep lying about my voice until I could meet them in person, so that I could prove I'm an actual human being. The issue is that I kept trying to arrange a meetup with the other staff members, but almost everyone rejected it. I also wasn't allowed to meet up with my friend Rai Rai because the other staff thought he was suspicious. Part of what frustrated me about the whole situation was that I was being told that an in-person meetup was insufficient for proving that I'm not a man, because apparently a man could just transition their gender
如果
from
它
a
这个如果
span
不
of a
解除
week
诅
in
咒的
order
话，
to
你也
convince
永远都是冒
people.
险模式，所以即使你过
Essentially,
去
it
也没
felt
有
like
用。
I was being treated as someone who was guilty, no matter what. But the problem is that I wasn't really given a full chance to explain my side of all the evidence. An example of that is within PvP Rank's statement regarding me. They bring up how a username similar to my own was brought up a few hours before I changed mine on my main account. Therefore, I must be an alt. The issue is that this wasn't something they ever brought up with me, because if they did, they would have known that before my main account, I played on another account that had been discussing my username change before that. I think from their perspective, considering everything they had seen, it would be easy for them to be convinced by the evidence. And from my perspective, I wasn't able to do much to defend
Okay, what the fuck?
myself until either releasing this video or meeting up with them and explaining everything in person. Unfortunately, all of this led to a rift in our relationship, so I'd like to apologize for the fact that I couldn't be upfront about my usage of an AI voice in those moments. At some point within our discussions, I finally managed to make arrangements with one of the staff members who was willing to meet with me in person, which I'm grateful for since it helps a lot for verifying that I'm not AI, unless I am secretly a robot. I'm actually out of state recording this video from my hotel room, since there's not much else for me to do right now. With all that being said though, I want to explain why exactly I use an AI voice, and why I wasn't ever upfront about it. For some background, my family, especially my mom, was always extremely overprotective of me, to the point where I wasn't really supposed to be using social media. For this reason, from a young age, I generally would try to alter the way I spoke online in the instance that my voice was recorded, especially if I became bigger on social media later on. The issue with doing this was that my way of speaking wasn't suitable for full-length videos, and as I got older, I also just generally had more trouble doing it. For this reason, I eventually decided how to learn how to train AI voice models, so I trained one off of a dataset of my already altered way of speaking. I know this confused people since a lot of community members and YouTubers vouched that they had done calls with me before realistic AI voice changers were a thing, so now you finally know the answer to that mystery. The reason I've denied using an AI voice for so long is because since the AI voice is based on an actual dataset of my own altered way of speaking in the past, I felt like it was acceptable to lie about since it wasn't someone else's voice. I also felt like admitting to using an AI voice would cause people to doubt that I'm an actual person and believe some of the crazy rumors people spread about me. In retrospect, my decision to lie about this wasn't a good idea, since it's actually provided people with a logical reasoning to believe all of the rumors being spread about me. I'm genuinely sorry for all of this, but I just happen to be someone that prefers to keep themselves more private, and so a lot of my behavior comes from that. I really do hate the fact that I'm having to face reveal for this video, but ultimately to a degree, it's actions like these that have led me here in the first place. So with that being explained, there's another thing I definitely need to talk about. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be upset about this, and in saying it, I have a feeling that I'll probably be cancelled pretty badly, since it pretty much affects my entire channel. The reason I'm going to say this is because even with the whole stealing and alting stuff being false, there's still a whole other layer that needs to be dealt with, which is the cheating allegations. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the clips of me hitting while looking in completely different directions and stuff like that. And those things all get explained very well later on in the video, but there are stronger pieces of evidence in the form of consistent tick timings and really smooth aim from my mace montage. A lot of people use this as evidence that I use macros and aim assist. The truth is, almost every montage on my channel is heavily staged. And by that, I mean the majority of clips are scenarios that I replay a few times to create more variety in the montage. In two of my vanilla montages, I play a lot of the scenarios in a lower tick speed, which contributes to why my aim tracking looks so surreal. why my timings are so consistent. The only montage on my channel that isn't heavily staged is a sword montage, since there isn't much variety within the game mode anyways. Even in that montage though, I know I staged at least a few clips. The reason that almost no one realized that I was doing this was because I actually do substantially beat the players you see in my montages, but just not necessarily in the exact manner you see in the clip. I try to be very intentional about the clips I include in my montages so that I can pace them with the music and include enough variety to give them replay value. I think if I had been honest about this from the beginning, that it wouldn't have been too big of a deal. But at this point, it's been something I've kept secret for years, and even after the cheating
OK，我
investigations
到那
on me,
个什么
I'm
前面了。
actually under the impression that even if my montages weren't staged, that the evidence being used against me still wouldn't serve as proper proof of hacks, which is why I never brought it up. But in retrospect, I understand that it gets to a point where even if it's not completely definitive, people can't be blamed for thinking that it's more likely that I'm hacking than not. In my 2-year vanilla PvP montage, I used a custom mod to play in a lower tick rate, since at the time, Minecraft didn't have a command for it. This is actually the reason for how I came up with the idea for a mod to reduce input latency, since I had recognized how slow inputs are registered on low TPS. Within that mod, I used to create that montage. The idea was used to make my inputs register instantly instead of per tick, which made playing low TPS feel much more responsive. A lot of people have pointed out that the hotbar skips in that montage, and knowing what I do now, I'm quite sure that it's due to the fact that I was not only using the low TPS mod for most of it, but also the feature within that mod to make my inputs register instantly. Something I should be clear about though is that when defending myself regarding the hotbar allegations, previously I actually believed that it was a performance mod, and not related to me playing in low TPS. I think that a lot of people will think that sounds stupid, so let me explain. I'm going to play a clip to show you what I mean.
But like,
I will say, the
anchor description in my video.
No native crash.
What?
From the clip you just heard, you can hear Reef1 admit that I might be debunking the hotbar skipping allegations. This is because it's actually true that hotbar skipping is not definitive proof of cheating. Reef1 and Dr. Donut originally believed that it was the result of hacks, and I believe that it was a result of a performance mod. But the truth is, neither of us were entirely right, and hotbar skips can occur on a completely vanilla client, even without performance mods, although performance mods can increase the rate at which they happen. The reason why I'm bringing this up is just to reiterate that when I was defending myself on this topic, my explanation was actually somewhat reasonable, and now we know it can happen. It wasn't proof of hacking. The amount of times that it happened in my montage though left a valid reason to believe that it was hacks. And since people weren't aware of the fact that I was staging the montage in low TPS, I can't blame people for thinking so. Assuming that you're watching this video, Dr. Donut, I want to directly address you regarding this situation, as well as some of the other scenarios that have come up between us, so that I can communicate my thoughts a bit better. I'm going to play a few stream clips for context.
Now, everything that Marlo did, like, it was obviously, the Marlo persona was very nice to people and was very helpful, and she helped the community a lot, actually. But was all of that because he wanted to help the community, or was it because he just wanted power? I don't know. I don't know if we're ever gonna know. But yeah, bro, I can't believe that all of it's true. It's just crazy. Like, Marlo definitely, or Danger Mario definitely had a goal to, like, get me out of the community. Like, Danger Mario recommended me to stop streaming through Marlo, obviously. I'll just say Marlo. Marlo recommended me to stop streaming. Like, Marlo also intentionally had a goal to get Itzro Me to quit PvP. That's why he was gone for like over a year. Can you believe that? Itzro Me is the greatest PvPer of all time. And Marlo, like, convinced him to just quit or manipulated him into quitting, I guess. which is crazy. By the way, default being black is restricted. That was also a part of Marlo's plan. Default could have been the best character too, but he was banned for over a year because Marlo was in charge of everything and just kicked him out.
I feel like when you view someone through a negative lens, it becomes very easy to come up with negative explanations for why certain things are said or done. But a lot of the things that you said here just weren't my intention at all. For example, when you mentioned that I advised you to stop streaming, this was in reference to your vanilla tier 2 attempts, because you've been trying for years to get tier 2, and I sincerely wanted you to achieve that goal, which is why I helped you and gave you advice. The reason why I recommended you not to stream your tier 2 test is because I believe a big part of streaming is entertaining your audience, and I knew that your interest in doing that would detract from your competitive performance. And I think you could genuinely do it if you approached it with the right mindset and focus. It's also much harder to learn and take in information if a large part of your mind is occupied with streaming. Another thing I wanted to address is the claim that I tried to get It's Real Me to quit PvP. This claim is seemingly out of nowhere because I've never wanted It's Real Me to quit. I've never even wanted to get number 1. My goal to get tier 1 was in everything.
Holy shit!
And I actually prefer
哪有什么很强的东西吗？
because I hate the negativity that comes from it. If you were to look through my messages speaking about my goals and my messages to people like It's Real Me,
说明栏
understand that it was
对，
genuinely
等一下
never
啊，
my goal to be number 1.
快点，
and still
快
isn't.
等我一下。
I was going up against myself with my own
来，
goal.
你应该知道我们现在在第几关吧？圣桥之战。
嘿，第5关嘛。
I wish It's Real
那
Me
个
could
圣桥之战王是谁？应该
keep
是
going further.
靠背，
Number 1.
你到了
I，did quit, and now I'm number 1.
不是
Situation
比那更
is
扯
what it is.
比那更
Now, for
扯
the。last thing I
那是
said
怎样？
regarding team default punishments being issued maliciously, I feel like you're not exactly taking into account what happened. He's had multiple competitive offenses like boosting and account sharing. He said a lot of threatening things regarding me as well.
What？
Stuff like leaking information about where I live.
那是很夸
I'm
张
not
了。
saying that in the sense that we have a poor relationship anymore.
那个好，
What I'm trying to say is
我
that
是去拿附魔台啊，那个等等回来。
OK，
those punishments were valid. As you know, I
那是
also
很
ended
夸
up
张了。
pardoning his offenses against me to get him
也是好笑。
unblacklisted almost immediately after, because I didn't want to hurt his career even though he had already hurt mine
看，
extensively.
现在穿的这种破
I
装备
wanted
真是
to
可以来这边
respond to
玩的
this
吗？
here today because I think that out of mostly anyone, the two of us have played an important role in getting the community to where it is today.
看
And I've，
我以为
come
他
to
有防
realize
开
more
设
and
计，结
more
果没有。
that the tension between us is something
那应该
bad
说
for
防作弊
everyone.
系统就没有，我是从旁
I
边绕
want
过
you to
去。
know that I'm
我
sorry
学
we were
习。
never able to be on the same page. And I think it is largely stems from the way that in which I'm a bit of an introverted person. And you seem to
哎，干，等一下，等一下，他有那个
so we
他有
never really
作弊系统，
meshed
快
well
回
together in
你现在不该
comparison to how you mesh with other people
什
who
么
make
什么
more
系统？
public appearances.
他你看，
I
他
respect
说
the way in which you have tried to
他
help
说
other people
你
go
不
to
该出现
tournaments
在
of
立刻回
education.
头，你在作弊，这是禁
Something
止的
I've tried
行
to
为，
do
请
as
回
well.
去会员
And
第
I
死
think it's
区
just generally a good
确
thing
实
for
直接
the
点
community
被警告
members
了
in it.
啊，
I think the
那
start
我
of
就
the
死了。
tension we felt is the
靠
way in
北，
which some
可
of
恶
the！things that you used to say on the stream about me or to me
我
and
甚至
what
不知道有
you
这
said
东
to
西
the。audience ended up blowing back on me.
所以我还是有
in
部分的地
retrospect.
方是可以活动
So
的，是
I
吧？
viewed it as inconsiderate. And then when I
那我就在
responded
部分的
in
地方
my
活
video
动活动。
before,
所以
I interpreted
你是有
everything
透过
so
什么
differently
方法
because of
过
the
去
way
吗？
that
还是
the other
本来就是可以
people
直接
were
走过
going
去？
after me
不行，
maliciously.
走过去，啊，就是从
The
旁边绕
result
过去。
between us has been an awkward relationship.
Oh.
So I want you to know that even though I'm very much an introvert, I know that you're an honest person. And so whatever you
Again,
felt when you
pushing
said
the
the
other
things
side.
you did about me was genuine and not malicious. Like I said, I think it becomes easy to look back on everything in a
What?
negative light when you're viewing things through a negative
结
lens.
果
But
也
I
只
think
能
we've had a
摘
lot
小
of
块
good
而已，摘小块
conversations
没
in
什
our
么效
time
用，
in
我觉得。
哇，
And so I'd like you to know that regardless of everything that's happened up until this point, I still respect you, and I hope you understand me better now that I've laid out some of my thoughts to you.
那我能来这间
I
屋
also
子
think
看看
this
吗？
time we could probably work out a lot of these issues in private, since the public tends to skew conversations like these to create a divide
shit，
into having two
他怎么
different
突然就死
sides,
了？
when in reality, what we want to do is create less of a
我还是
divide,
得乖乖打，因为
not
堂
more
哥
of one.
棘手。
On the
傻眼
topic。of what I mentioned before, there is one more clip that I want to play since it summarizes exactly what I mentioned before regarding retrospectively misinterpreting certain things.
I mean, I haven't
What the
seen
fuck？这什么
this,
地
but
方？
I've heard that
军
the
盔
only reason Marlo even had access to the vanilla tier list Discord in the first place was because she nuked the old one.
什么
and was
地
just
方？
quick to make the new one and never just followed her. But yeah, she hijacked the whole VP community.
这什么鬼地方？
She took it from trustworthy people who didn't have some overarching plan to do anything crazy, and just control everything herself.
So just to clarify here, I'm addressing whoever is watching this now rather than Dr. Donut personally, but what you have heard here is a very large description of what actually happened and where the remade vanilla tier list came from.
看这下面是什么
Find
小
my experience
？Oh my
review,
god！
I
What？
talk about a group called WAC that used to go around.
这感觉是不小心生出来的区域。
They took down my Wi-Fi by threatening me in the call before, and threatening me with other things like rape and swatting. I will play an extremely small amount of this call, but I won't play too much of it because it will get the video age restricted if I do.
看我真的没
If you
放
want
快
to。see more of it, you can watch it on my experience.
啊，3个周末卷走，就这样。
我要放在超市里。
我觉得他们原本是想要让周末卷轴成为一个非常非常稀有的物资，但到后面他有点。
反了。
Test me again, bitch. Sing this song, and maybe you won't have internet complications. Sing the fucking song, Marlo. Sing it right now for me. Sing it.
It would be a shame if your father couldn't put food on the table because internet gangsters are doing some tomfoolery. Does your father happen to work from home? Can you
No, Marlo.
please send over the schedule for us, please?
Wouldn't it be a shame?
哦，那这里是
Work
哦，
from
我知道
home
是哪里。
and like everything just stopped working?
What if it's because of some internet complication?
Wouldn't it be a shame if your dad couldn't work from home because of internet complications, right? That'd be quite a shame.
I swear to God, I will find out where you live and I will choke you out.
So essentially what happened is that the people a part of this group nuked the tier list once in the middle of 2021, which was really bothersome for me because at the time, I was the only owner properly managing the list. I was doing almost all of the tier tests myself and adding all of the names to the spreadsheet myself, since at the time the website didn't exist yet. Essentially, WAC used to be on the ownership team of the vanilla tier list, but I was also on the owner team, as well as pretty much the only person doing anything. During this time frame, I had to put up with random
你今天要
nukes,
吃早
them
餐吗？
randomly giving out high tiers to
要啊
their friends, corrupt
要
owners
几点
that
吃？那有没有
them
9点去
giving
吃？
out
因
staff
为我明
roles
天
and
1 点
tiers
有
to
课
their。friends' alt
9
accounts.
你说几点？
A lot of people
9点
criticize the
9
way
点
today.
8
The
点，
difference is that
那我
back
肯定
then
醒
it
不
was
来啊，
actually corrupt from the
100%。
Today it's just
因为我1
mismanaged
点
because
要
the
上
staff
课
can't keep up
中
with
午
1点
the
哦
amount of manual labor,
对。
since the tier list doesn't have enough automation to sustain
啊
it. Anyways, later in
哎，
2021,
反正
the
就是
tier list
反正要
was
早点
again,
起来，因为
except
我一
this
定要
time
上
it
课，
was
所
a
以
fully
可能11
successful
点多
nuke
就
with
起。
nobody except
哦，
the
11
owner
点
team
多
and a few
，11点
other
多应该
staff
可以。
members remaining.
因为我可能我
After
觉
the
得我
nuke,
可能
I
下课
started
时间
getting
是拿
DMs from WAC members taunting me
，OK
进攻型。
and so after everything, to sort everything out for a while,
好，
a
那
new
我现在去
Discord
睡
was
了。
made, and the WAC players were demoted from staff.
嗯，
What people seem to be saying
好像
is
差不
that
多
I was
哦
the one who made the new Discord
Yes.
immediately after the nuke as a means to get ownership.
不，
But
先这
that's
样子。
actually
好，
the
先
complete
这样。
opposite of what
晚安。
actually happened. I was
晚安。
actually the last choice to be owner, even despite the effort I had been putting in. The person who created the new vanilla tier list Discord was Khan, and the only people who remained as owner after the nuke were me, Khan, and UCC Dog. What happened was, me and UCC Dog never got along because he was very emotionally attached to the game, so when I became better than him, it really upset him a lot, and he tried to do things like randomly demoting me from my tiers, even when I was losing to no one at the time. I got demoted from mid-tier 1, which back then was equivalent to what high tier 1 is now to high tier 2, just completely randomly because UCC Dog didn't think I should be tier 1. So as you can see, me and him used to have a lot of issues, and after the vanilla tier list Discord was remade again, a few months later I tested for high tier 1, which required me to be the best player in both my own region and the European region. People today fail to realize how hard it was to get high tier 1 back then because of that requirement. Nowadays, cross-regional fights are done on equal ping, but back then to get high tier 1 you actually had to be the best player on both regions no matter the ping. At the time, UCC Dog was the best European player, but I ended up beating him 4-0 on his region and he ended up rage quitting the community and blocking a lot of people. At that point, it was just me and Kond left on the ownership team. But Kond ended up getting demoted by Rico for accepting bribes and gear on survival servers in return for giving him staff ranks. Kond was the actual server owner at the time though, so Enrico had very carefully negotiate with him in order to retrieve ownership. After Enrico got ownership, he actually chose to give it to me because I had been paying the Ticket Spot subscription the whole time. The way the Tickets Premium subscription worked is that it would only apply to servers that the linked account had ownership of. And so the way we did it before was that Con would sign into my Patreon account and link his user to the subscription. When I explained this to Enrico, he thought it was too much of a hassle to do, and he ended up just transferring ownership to me. What's funny about the way people are portraying this situation is that people act like I just asserted myself as owner, when in reality I only got it by the process of elimination because everyone else was doing crazy stuff that got them demoted. A lot of this stuff is shown in greater detail within my old video, so if you want more information on it, you can go back to that video and you'll understand everything I'm saying. With that out of the way though, I want to talk about Ximity. So the first thing I should tell you all is that I've been seeking legal advice on all of this, and the fact of the matter is that there are so many verifiably false claims that he's made against me that it constitutes extreme damages to both my reputation and livelihood. It's also worth noting that not only has he harmed me, but he's also harmed the reputation of other people like Jai Guy, who, if you don't know, is the owner of PvP Club.
Holy shit！ 哇，这个真的是，唉，哦，2.02